So you want to be a level designer. So to be a level designer requires a couple of different skills. So you may see people doing quick level designs, or they say that they're quick level designs, but they're actually just speed building a little environment that doesn't have any mechanics. So they're not actually level designing. They're making something look pretty, which is all right for environment art. It's more of just practice. Even with environment art, you still want a level that's at least semi-playable, so that way when you're walking around, you can see that the areas aren't completely visible and see-through. You don't want those little cracks to be shown as you get further along in the level, so it's smart to be able to have at least an area you can walk through that fits inside of there. So, what is it that is required to be a level designer? So, a basic understanding of code is something that is important. You don't need to know everything, but as a level designer, you should at least be able to do baseline code. I'm going to load up a project real quick and we'll look at some of the code that I have done. So, if I go to pacing full, we'll get to see some of the code that I have worked together with just the baseline setup of the starter shooter pack that comes with Unreal. So the reason that this is pretty nice, let's make sure these are linked. They are linked well. Okay, so with this, we start over here. Move further forward, about right here. And we're going to go ahead and play through the level real quick. So play. All right. So now we're in here. We walk around. We go over here. We check the door. It's locked. So it leads us to only one other door, and it's open. We have this green light here that is showing why this is open at the moment. And so we come over here, and there's only one direction to go, so it leads us here, and then there's a light showing off this little key right here, which we came over and we picked it up. So now that we have that, the player is instinctively, oh, okay, so there was a locked door that I saw. And then I come over here, I open the door, and now I come in here, I see a red light of the exact same design as the green light behind me. And then I see the same kind of door as the one that's open. So it's like, oh, okay, instinctively they should know what's going on there. So then they come around here and they see this, and they're just like, oh, that looks out of place. Weird. Come over here, and they hit the button, and you'll see that it opens the door over there. It's like, oh, okay. You come over here, it's like, oh. Alright, so I can't get across right here. I see that thing up there, but there's nothing I can do with it right now. What can I use to do something with that? And you come over here, it's like, oh, what's this? They pick up the gun right here. It's like, oh, okay, so I could shoot a gun now. Oh, gosh. I have a gun now. This little thing looks out of place. Boom. Goes over, and it shoots and knocks over. Of course, there would be more testing, getting that to work perfectly. Maybe even record it so when you shoot it, it falls over into place. You come over here, and that's the end of the level. So what I've done is I've taken this small little area, and I've created an entire playable system. And that's going to be far more important than just having a beautiful looking level or something you can walk around in. Because if they wanted something to look beautiful, they would just look at images or some videos. But they want someone who can actually take the mechanics and put it into a playable system. So I guess this goes into what exactly is a level designer. A level designer is someone who can go and work on a game dev document, like game design document, a GDD, and take that with some drawings of the level, work it together to get the mechanics in mind, and then at least get the level baseline ready and working with the simpler mechanics like locked doors, moving platforms, buttons, a little knockover physics. You can get all of that done. There's no reason your level designer can't at least learn basics like that. So once you've got all that together, it's really coming together and figuring out what is flow and all these different things. So the reason that all these things are put together like they are, I'm going to run through it one more time and I'm going to point out some of the important stuff. So when you hit play here, the door is on our left and it's locked, but it doesn't really matter if they access the door. That sound is just there to let them know, okay, so if they go over this way, they find the key and they know, okay, I can come back and hit that. But right here is where a key thing of flow and guiding your players comes into play. So I want the players to understand that they can access buttons. So this is slightly egregious. It doesn't have to be this insane. But you come over here, this green light is indicating that door is open. And of course, like I said, the light over here is showing off the little key right there. And now that I've gotten all that together, the way that this works is now I can come through here and it flows directly into the door over here. So I can come right in. And as soon as the door opens, you can already see the light right there is red. And when you look over, you can see both that light and this door. So what that allows is the player can see both the obstacle and the solution at the exact same time. It doesn't have to be that way, but because I designed it like that, it makes it really easy for the player to figure it out. And it works well for an introductory puzzle. And then I have this looking out of place, because technically I could jump up here and touch it and knock it over, but in a normal level you would have it designed where they couldn't do that, and it doesn't fall over until you deal a bit of damage. But I've also got it designed so when I hit this button, you can back up and be like, oh, what the heck? So you see that open, and it's like, whoa. Okay, so that's what's going on. This window right here is telling you right there, green. If this is still red and you haven't figured it out yet, you can clearly see on both that you can switch it to green. And then once you hit it, you can see right here the door open. So all of those are little techniques that are being used in tandem to get the player to understand what's going on without having a screen pop up and tell them what to do. Of course, you can add in a little screen that tells them what to do. There's nothing wrong with that. And of course, there are different variants you can go for this level. So if I want the medium version of this level, this is the medium variant. So if I just wanted a simpler version of the exact same level, there are multiple ways to do it. Same lock key, no button over here. And there's nothing up there. So it's like, okay, so I just come over here. Okay, key. I come around. And what this is showing that you can take your same areas and set up a system to where they have to do, where they don't have to take as much time. It's controlling the flow and how long the level exactly takes. So it's all really important little things. Of course, that needs to be fixed. This is just a little tutorial level to teach you all what's going on. So yeah, this has removed that entire button puzzle, and you'll notice it didn't really cause any issues. As a matter of fact, I can actually get rid of this room over here if I wanted to, and just have the weapon sitting right here. And the player would come in, pick it up, and they'd see it over there. Or if I wanted to, I could actually give them the solution right here. And I could easily take this a little bit further and go to this. I can, to show you what's going on, I can actually duplicate this and drop it in place. And now I can actually right here, if I wanted to, I could take my cube grid and cut a hole right here. And so when the player gets over here, they pick up the weapon and they can already see it right there. That's what they need to do. So they can come around here and shoot, and boom. And it kind of shows them and teaches them, all right, so I can go ahead and do that. And if you wanted to make it to where this room isn't able to use the gun, set up a little code where the gun deactivates it there. And then just have it to where right here is a little bit smaller. Right here is also the hole. So you can actually solve it right in this room. A little too low. So let's go ahead and, oh, okay, that was just glitched. There we go. So they can solve it from in here, and it falls over into place. And then they would lose the gun, and you've solved the situation. So a level designer takes into account every little path, the idea that if you're making a successful game, thousands of people will play the game. They're going to play it differently in all these other spots, so you want to be able to set it up to where it focuses and is used properly to where you're teaching and giving the best experience of gameplay to thousands of different players in a broad spectrum of personalities and what they're going to be doing and thinking while in your level. So the reason we guide the player is, I'm going to show you that one more example of that right here is rather important. So the reason that we have the door right there and it introduces everything, we're going to go back to the other variant of the level real quick. So the reason that we want the level to work this exact way is that when we come over here, right once we turn, we are forced to see that button. There's no way to avoid it, and that's why it's placed specifically right there, not over here. So that has introduced the player to that system. And then over here, when you come into the room and you see nothing right here, you're instinctively going to turn to the right. You'll see this key right here. So the player, though, even though they will go in there and they might start exploring, they'll find the key rather easily thanks to that light. And then we come through here, we can specifically see the button. So I'm introducing things at exact moments when the player doesn't have anything else to focus on. If I was to try and introduce these things at the exact moment that they're in combat, they're going to lose out on all of the information that they got from the moment that they open this door right here and see the button in the door. They might get into combat and be like, oh shoot, I gotta pay attention to what's going on. But because the door opens and it blocks off their ability to go left, their eyes and attention is instinctively drawn to the right. So the player is sitting here like, okay, their minds are drawn, their eye line is set for them, so that way when they get in there, a majority of players will instantly be given that information. Of course, there's going to be some people who don't pay attention and they miss that, but it's also designed with that little window in mind, so that way we can see right here and over here, you can see the button through the door when you get over. So it's designed in so many different ways that the player can actually see what's going on. So as a level designer, your goal is to make sure that the players know what's going on. If you have the ability to climb on things, it's good to give color code systems. So like a lot of examples are from games long ago. Assassin's Creed, you can actually see the little spots you can climb on, but they're also designed to climb in almost everything. It's like Uncharted, things that you have to grab onto, and that's what you can climb on. Ghost of Tsushima, if it's on a rock wall, usually you have that little dirt bit or some sort of red paint there that you can actually see when you can go up and climb something. And then you always have that, when you have the grappling hook, you always have that little branch or something that shows, okay, that's a spot I can hit. So when I jump off of here, I can activate my grappling hook real quick and I don't have to worry about it because the level design is telling me that I can do that before I've jumped off this cliff. So as a level designer, you need to keep track of so many different individual things. So to take a look at these codes, don't get me wrong, this isn't the best code ever. It's not. I'm not the world's greatest programmer, but these are also designed specifically for these tutorials, so that way I can get in and show you all the systems, what it takes to actually level design, rather than just sit there and code. So with these, I have it set to begin play for the button puzzle active. So this goes in. Oh, this is the active version. So on begin play, it goes in, hits the timeline. The timeline will set the button to activate. But we really don't need this part active. It's the fact of the timeline right here. So this button is just set here to glow. It really has no actual mechanical value to it. As you can see, it's not even connected. This door as well doesn't have any mechanical value. But when we get over here, this one right here is the one that we wanted to look at. If we look at the button puzzle, we'll see that it's connected to the player shooter, which we don't really actually need these casts. We can get rid of those and just use the enable input. And we'll see that it has E connected to a timeline. What that timeline does is it takes both the X and the Z axis with the track float value, getting their start area of 92 for the Z. Okay, there it is, which is 44. So then it goes to a set one, which what this is it's the button going down. So when you hit the button, the key, it goes through, it presses the button down, which is the cube 2, which is currently red. And it goes through, hits the button down, and then the button press platform activates the platform's code, which is set through a custom event and has a flip-flop. So if I hit it a second time, it will reverse the timeline, and this is the code used to make it move, which is along the y-axis, is just why it moves in one direction. But I have it set up to move based off the code's location, so I can angle it in the level however I want, and it'll move. And the reason I have it set up like this is it's all connected through this variable over here, which is the button puzzle object reference. And the reason I wanted to do it that way is I might get a couple of people annoyed that this isn't the best code, but what this allows me to do, doing it specifically like this, allows me to set up a couple of different ones using one set of code, and it doesn't have a massive amount of draws. But then it sets the material to green, so it goes from red to green at the end of that code. The reason that code is so nice is that it allows me to go... So if I go up here and I set the button puzzle right here, I can set a platform moving. And so both of them are empty, but I can click this, boom, click this, boom. So now, even though there is the exact same blueprint, I can cancel. I don't want to spawn down there. I can spawn right here, but I don't have a light out here. So let's go ahead and throw a light down real quick. There we go. So we go over here and we hit the button, and now it's moving. Oh, I hit it again. Sometimes it messes up when it does that. So there we go. Now we've got this platform that moves. We can reverse it and do it over and over again. And the reason that that's so useful and coded this way is because when I'm designing these levels, I can just duplicate this code and I can just match these two together now. Instead of setting up another code, I've done that and boom. Now this one works just as well as the other one did. See, it's moved. And that's a very useful bit of code if you're making levels real fast, which if you're level designing, you want to get in and retest your level over and over and over again. So having the code set up to work with that really well is extremely helpful. Other than that, there's also the door down here. The reason I have the door set up like this is because I don't want to go through a massive set of code. I just want something very simple. So inside of my characters, I have a variable, which is a Boolean, and it's just named hasKey. That's all. I just add that to the character. I don't do anything else with it. But when I am in the door, I have a key set up. So when I walk over and hit E on the door, it asks if it has the key. If it doesn't have the key, it plays the locked door sound at the location of the door. But if it does have the key, it activates a flip-flop, which makes the door move 90 degrees on the z-axis of the relative location. So relative rotation. So I can have the door placed wherever I want in the level, and it will work. So with all this, it uses the same code of event active begin overlap, because I didn't want to take the time to design one that if I hit E on the door, I have to be looking directly at it. I don't want to spend the time doing that when there's a lot more levels that I have to work on and stuff. So if I can get at least the code baseline working, I know that the programmer, if you're working in a team, is going to come by and redesign this and make a much better code than I'm going to, because that's their focus. That's what they've done a lot of. And then this connects over to the key right here. So if I go into the keys code, it's pretty simple. So when the player goes over, this is the overlap. Usually I have it set to the E button to pick it up. But on this variant, I have it set to when the character walks over, which is the first-person shooter. It sets their hasKey variable to check, and then it destroys the key. And that's really all it is. So I can get rid of this enable input if I wanted to, because I can just delete both of these, and it's connected right here. So now when the character overlaps it, it sets and destroys the actor. It's very simple code. The key itself has already set, and now that it's been set, it goes through branch, and now it is true. So it's a very simple set of code, but it works really, really well. It just requires getting the player controller and then getting the hasKey. This one requires the cast to BP because we need to get that variable off the hasKey, off the first-person shooter. So like I said, these codes aren't by any means like expert level, but what they allow me to do is come up with really cool level designs and run through them, test them, make sure they're working. And then later on down the road, when I get to working on a lock system or a platform move system that works for that specific game, that doesn't mean that that one's going to work on another game. So I have this baseline one that works in any type of project, so I can get into the testing phases real quick. Because your level can be set up, look like it's perfect. You've designed it, you've drawn arrows, you've looked through your map. It looks like it's going to run perfectly. That doesn't mean that it's going to. As soon as a player gets in there and plays, it might run like ass. You don't know until you've tested and tried fully. So that's why testing is extremely important. So yeah, learning the baseline code for these, like booleans, are pretty much the true or false. Is this there? Is it not there? Is it active or not? And that allows you to set up with the true or false code right here, the branch. I couldn't remember what it was called. The branch node, where it goes true or false, and that just sets up your condition. So just understanding those baselines for it, like do E key if you want to, and then scroll down until you find the E key right here. And that's how you get this. Press is obviously when you click it. Release is when you let go. So if you wanted it to where you're holding a button, have it press and then finish when it's released. And that's how you get a held button. So yeah, learning those baseline codes, being able to design a playable level, not just something that looks really good, because I've got tons of levels that look really good, and I've got levels that are just for doing design. So if I go into levels, I'll go to the one that is a mixture. So if I go here and then I find flow, where is it? Flow 2. Save. One thing that is about this level right here is it's taking a lot of the principles that we talked about in that other level and it's putting them all together in an actual designed map. So you can't see the outside areas. There should be mountains back here that are loading, but I'm guessing that mesh got deleted somehow. But we'll ignore that for now. I'll have to fix it later. While we're in here, we can look around and let the shaders finish loading real quick. But you'll see we have a little starting area. Our van's up there. The character starts down here. And this gives the idea of, okay, so the player started at this van right here and they climbed on down. And now they've got this guided path that they go across. And when they come over here, they step out. And just like we did with the button, we can see the little hanger down here. And that's the objective point. So if the player comes over here, they get a good view of their objective. And then when they look left, they can see this little outpost over here that they have to get through. So I've redesigned this level. We're going to go to the other variant. We're not going to save this. And we're going to look at it from the viewpoint of it being redesigned to be semi-playable. And I've actually designed this all in actual level. Like I actually show you how to sculpt this and what I did to place all the assets. So if you want to look at that, there's another video that I have that goes over that. So this is that exact same level, but redesigned for actual like playing and sneaking around and such. So ignore that. That was just for thumbnails. But if we look, it's the exact same level as the other variant, and the islands are still, the little mountains are still missing. That's weird. I wonder what happened. But when the player starts up, they spawn back over here. They have a little camp this time with their little Jeep. So that is where the Jeep came down. The player doesn't need to be able to go up there, so you would have a little area bounding block over here. So like level bounds barrier. So the player can't get up there. But then the player's right here. If you want to have a little map so they can access it, it's right there. So the player comes on over and they step over this little hill. I would probably shrink this a little bit. And when they step over, they get a great view of the hangar over there. And that's telling them exactly where they need to go. And then right here, you can see right up there, whoops, wrong one, that you got a good view of the little hangar over here, the little parked area that they need to be able to get through. So when they come on down, they see that there's no path to the right, so they go left. So even if they haven't seen over there, when they come on down here, they can clearly see it over there. Of course, there's more stuff you would want to do here, like set up little obstacles, make it feel more lively or like a jungle, so while they're sneaking through, they feel like they're actually not getting caught. And then you have to find a way for them to get through, which if I was doing a full game, I'd make it to where maybe they can cut through the gate right here. So when they sneak around, they come over here and they cut through the gate. Or if you got traveling guards and you have a system where they can take them out real quick, you can have them knock them out over there and get access to this little room right here so they can get in and activate the little thing to open the gate right there. There's quite a few different ways to do it, but it's designed so when the player gets in, they have a whole plethora of passages that they can go through and enjoy. That character shouldn't be over here. Some of the characters are placed just for thumbnails. So yeah, over here, the player can get up in multiple spots, even right here. So when they come in right here, they have spots that they can take cover from, sneak over, and if they see someone right there, they got a path to the left and a path to the right. So their urgency isn't taken away during this. And then right here, they have a chance of being spotted right here, but they also could take out the person up there if they're not spotted. And then you can see that there's little paths up here. That's because there's multiple ways up. So the player could climb up right here and get up over here, or there's smaller little spots that are allowing them to walk just almost straight up here. And looks like my staircases are also missing because there should be one right here. Huh. Looks like a few meshes didn't transfer over when I moved it between projects, so that's why we're not seeing some of the stairs. You see this entire little corner area is just a spot set up for when the player is sneaking in. And this all is set up to work both during the day and during the night. So if I go and click the sky, there it goes. Set it to 1200. Oh, sorry, 700. 400. There we go. That'll work just fine. So it becomes nighttime, and even though we have it nighttime, when the hangar would be all lit up and fully designed, which I haven't gotten there in the video series yet, it's been a hectic few weeks, a couple months too, the player can easily see over there. They have the lights lighting up the spot right there. And then the hangar over here will be lit up as well. And the rocks over here are specifically designed to hide this little area over here, so we know that it's not important. So what we don't show the player is just as important as what we do show the player. So having that path guarantee that they guide down and head directly in the path that they're supposed to be going gets them in the right direction, even if they don't know that yet. Like I said, when you come on down here, you get a great view over there, and you could even have a car drive by and head on down and open up the gate while they're heading over there. All those little things will tell the player where to go while making your world feel more lively. And all this needs to be kept in mind when you're level designing. So let's go ahead and take a look at a different level that I worked on a little while ago, introducing enemies. So the reason that this is important is when you're playing a game and you're designing the level for it, you need the player to be able to... Okay, let me delete that real quick. Wait, no, that's the AI. I need that. So when you're playing a game, the character needs to know what's going on, where to go, and you need to guide them and set up little points where there's action, when there's not action, that break, and during that break you need to have information that the player finds, a new weapon, just something that helps them along their path so it's not just constantly increasing. Because if the entire game is just constantly going up and there's no breathing moments, then the effect kind of wears off. They might run through all of their adrenaline real fast. So building up those moments and giving them brief pauses can actually accentuate those moments and make them more important, as well as if you have the game ability to save, it also gives the player moments to actually stop the game when they need to. So if we go through this level, and we start up, we come over here, and it's like, okay, so there's only one door. The player will get there like examinations of the area done real quick. And when they come out here, they step out, and the first thing they'll see is this little player running across. Like, oh, what's that? Then later on, I would have a gunshot play, and the character will be like, what the hell? And they'll see the character dead right there. Like, what the heck? What's going on then? And maybe you'll have it set to where that's a important person to the character. They might even shout out up to the character down here. The character will look down, see them, and then they'll run over there and hear the gunshots. They'll come over and you'll see the dead body. You're like, oh no, what the heck? You come over and you'll see, oh, shoot, there's the AI, which is not currently searching for me at the moment for some reason. So I'll go ahead and kick his butt. So we come over here. We see this little spot right here. And this is where I could have had another AI spawn in and come around and shoot at the player real quick. And that would get the... And they're already in the mindset of, okay, something bad's happened. I just killed somebody. Yada, yada. Now you kill somebody else over here. It's like, okay. Then you head this way after you see that that's blocked off. You come around, and this is controlling the pacing of the level. So they come over here, and it's also showing the right moments to introduce combat. So I can have a moment where the player's sneaking through here and they're seeing people, they're talking to them, and they're freaking out about having just killed somebody. They're coming around the corner, and now they're just like, okay. And now you can introduce a bit more stuff going on, or if you want a little bit longer of a break, you can keep it going. And right here, I did have somebody crouching right there. They're supposed to be around here. I don't know where they went. So they're hiding, and you've got all this world built up. It's shown real well, and it's all in this small, compact area that feels like it flows real well. Because you didn't just go through the fence, you went through a building to get over here. So when you come over here, you go around, and we come up to our next little story beat right here, which is apparently missing. All right, so you understand that you get pacing, and it's important to keep track of how you're introducing enemies, what times to show them. But then it's also not just that. So we're going to open up another project and look at that one real quick. So inside of this level, we have a couple areas. So I have a showcase one, which is the one that I redesigned the lighting and the post-processing fully. So on top of level design, it's good to know at least a little bit of environment art. You probably won't be doing incredible amount of that unless you're in a smaller team, and it's really important to learn both aspects. But this level is mostly about the level design. And the reason I want to load up this level is I'm going to show you the difference between what we just saw and a level that looks like it's really cool, but it doesn't mean anything really. It's really just there to show off the models, which is fair. It's the showcase pack for this model pack. So if we look around in here, we'll see this level looks very beautiful. Like, it's cool. Don't get me wrong. It's environmental art-wise, it's really good. But that is exactly where it ends. This isn't a level. It's just a art piece. So if I hit play up here, we're going to run into the fact of this is kind of a useless area. Of course, I could add some mechanics to it, maybe make it to where this door can open and everything, but it wasn't designed to work with that. And we'll see that when we go down here. So we come down here, stand on the little escalator, see how our feet break. We come down here, we'll see, okay, so the level looks really nice. And that's cool and all. But now what? The game this isn't designed to be a game. The level looks real nice, but everything's kind of pointless. If I go over here, I can't go anywhere. The area is kind of blocked off. But even if I do, there's nothing really down here. It's just a empty little hole. And that's because this level was never designed to be a full functioning level. It's meant to show off these models, and that's what I wanted to kind of get at. Is you could sit there and practice and make something look incredible. That does not make it a level. A level is a playable experience that has mechanics. So when you're level designing, I really want you to think of it this way. What is going into your project? What mechanics does your game require? What are you going to use in there? Because that is all going to be really important when you get further on. So when you're level designing, there are different kind of key things that can help you with specific projects. So this is meant to be a first-person multiplayer map. I actually showed this off on a video and showed how to improve it. Behind the ceiling, the roofs right here, we can see a bit more into the intricacies of this level. And how this works is multiplayer PvP maps, specifically things that are similar to like shooter games, tend to use the 3 paths rule. And they tend to be network levels, which means you have multiple entrances into almost every location to allow free flow and player choice of direction they go and setup. So if we look down here, we can clearly see, if I angle the camera light a bit more, that there is 3 paths from here. 1, 2, 3. From here, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then this one has multiple exits. 1, 2, 3. The same thing with over here. We got one entrance right here, one way to go through right here. We could also just skip this area right here and go right through, and we can also go down this path. So each area has multiple ways to get through, and that allows for the players to really, when they die, they can spawn back in and they can rush back into combat real quick. But they aren't just forcefully funneled into one location. They can really pick and choose where they want to go. And because this path can connect to this one, which in this one can connect to this one, and it's got another building right here, then you can connect in the center area. There's no guaranteed choke points. Of course, there's going to be a few set areas that players will tend to gather, but there's also areas that you can kind of counter that as well. So right here, you might be getting funneled right here by players. But if you're spawning here, you can come through over here, get out this way, or even come over here, and now your players can attack from 2 different directions and prevent that heavy funnel lock. So all these different ways are set up, and then their paths aren't just set flat areas, they have actual areas to take cover. This allows for a bit more of a dynamic experience than a flat area. The big thing about this level is if I was to redesign it, I would use a lot more vertical level design to it. Because with it being flat, it's real easy for right here to shoot across and hit people over here. But if we add just a little bit of verticality to it, we can prevent that. But this flatness also does allow for the players to snipe up there, and this area spot right here to kind of shoot down there, or even shoot over here if the player gets up here. But if you're going to have areas like that, you need to have counterpoints. So it's important to take note of the 3 exit system. It's like 3 entrances and 3 exits. And it's not a guaranteed rule, but it's something that's good to keep in mind, as well as having areas for the player to actually take cover in. So right here, if the players are right there, they can go into a fight. But if they step over here, they have the option to take cover. And if they're shooting through this window, they aren't just guaranteed to be hit from the side, they have this little cover right there. It's really making it to where the player can kind of control their own destiny and really fight how they want to fight. Because no one's going to have the 100% exact same playstyle. They might have very similar playstyles, but they're not going to be perfectly identical. So all of these different things are important to keep in mind. So I could go through and I could make this level look very beautiful, but unless I sat there and tested it, I'm going to have changes that I want to make. And there is no way to 100% perfect a level. It's just not going to happen. But you need to test and test and test and test until it gets to a truly enjoyable, playable experience. If you've not actually tested your level, this could just be a flat fail. So this one's designed to have all these little paths. But once I drop like 30 players on here, maybe 40, things might fall apart. And you don't want that. You want it to be tested with that, and then either gauge the number of players that are actually in your game and adjust the level accordingly to match that. So all that being said is a level designer is the person who is sitting there and coming up with all of the paths in your game, how the mechanics are going to work into those levels, the little puzzles that are in design, and pretty much every other part in that aspect. And then the environment artist comes in and starts replacing stuff, modeling the models, and actually making the thing look real good. Because a level designer needs to make everything work, run smoothly, play well, before the environment artist actually takes over and starts doing all that beautiful work. Because if you don't have it tested and working by the time you have the models being worked on, you might have to redo entire models, and where you could have just sat there and redone a previs of a level and then had people test it, if a model is modeled and it no longer works, that is a big issue, because now they've got to go back and redesign the model. And that may not be bad in every case, but in a lot of cases, that is going to cost money and time that just is not acceptable. So it's the best idea is to keep that to a minimum. So yeah, level designers are the ones who take care of all that, make these previses, blockouts, and go through, work on the GDD, come up with time frame for their level that it's going to be done in a set reasonable amount of time, and then they go and they work on it until they get it in there. Then they test it, then they adjust, then they test, and then they adjust, and then they test, and then they adjust. And that is why the previs stage is so important, because I could build 50 puzzles and only 2 of them are good. But if I didn't test them, and if they were all fully designed, they have hundreds of little models that make it look really nice, and then they just get scrapped. That's hours, sometimes even days that are lost. So it's important to keep in mind that these previses are important, because they may seem like it's a pain in the ass to replace the meshes, but if you have to replace the finished level design because it doesn't flow well, if the path doesn't work right, if it doesn't match the game in the end, you're going to save far more time replacing that previs than you're going to spend having that entire fully designed level replaced. And then there's the other idea of creating little prefabs. So if I didn't like the idea of having these pillars here, I can just slide them on out. But there's also the thing of a prefab is when you build like a table with cubes and you save it into a blueprint or a separate little level that you can throw in. And now you've got 100 of that blueprint that you can use over and over again, like the buttons that I showed you. It's just a little prefab code in order to allow me to test. Having those on standby is what really can help you throw your things together. If you have a set number of meshes that you can use, like if I have a ramp, cube, cylinder, and stuff like that, I can throw them all on the outside of the level. I just have to remember to delete them, and I can take from those and slide them into place where I need them to be before I go in and get all that going. So with all that with all those set over there, I can actually place, grab from over there, bring it over. It's already measured, it's set to where it needs to be, and I have quick and easy access to it. So yeah, with all that, I hope you all have a further and deeper understanding of what a level designer actually does, because it's a very, very important job, and it's a bit more it's a fair bit more technical than a lot of people give it credit for. Because a lot of people just be like, well, it's really just throwing in a bunch of meshes and getting it put together and looking nice. And there's a lot more to it than that. That's why your games that are very successful have a lot of tests that go in ahead of time, and they might have 100 levels that they threw out before they have the levels that they have now. I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you did, please consider hitting like. If you want to see more like this, please do consider subscribing. Other than that, I really hope you all enjoyed the video and learned a lot from this, and I hope you all have a good night, and I hope that you have good luck with your game development.